welcome again to You Made That, the podcast about makers, making, and the things that we make. I'm Mike DeLauder, and with me, as always, are Rebecca DeGroot and the lovely Bob Blanford. This week we are recording live, so right now we have, about 21 people in here with us in Zoom, watching us record a audio podcast. We are a strange bunch, aren't we?
I think we just need stuff to do.
Yeah. So let's go through what we've been working on this week. Bob, what have you got going on?
I've been busy, and I was in the shop, although I wasn't really doing shop tasks. My wife fell down our steps a couple of weeks ago. We have 5 steps into the garage, from the house to the garage. So she asked me if I would put up a railing. So I spent quite a bit of time today working on that. So I got a chance to use a number of tools, some I haven't used in a while, and I put a really nice railing up for her. It was interesting. Used to, when I would build decks in the past, I would buy the plastic railing to put around the decks I would put the wood up because the plastic was more expensive. I went to get wood to build a wood style, just like you would have on a deck, just a railing. And it was literally a little more than half the price to put the plastic stuff up this time. So she got a nice white plastic, deck railing, which honestly was nice because I don't have to paint it. And if it gets dirty, you get the 409 and a pad and just wipe it off. So I'm kind of excited about it, but it's nice and sturdy, and my wife's really happy because she won't have to fall. And that was pretty much what I did today. I actually painted Barry today. Barry is a bear that I met a guy who was a chainsaw carver at a wood show, and I basically commissioned him to carve. My wife loves Tennessee. She loves the mountains. So I commissioned him to carve her a bear. And we've had Barry he's been a member of the family for about 5 years, and he sits outside with a welcome sign, checking out the girl bears in the neighborhood. And his coat had gotten kind of, rough looking because the sun. So I took Barry out today and gave him a paint job. And he looks pretty good. I taped him all up, to protect his muzzle and his eyes and everything, and painted him up. So that was nice. And I honestly thought I would get in the shop on Saturday, but my daughter pulled into the driveway and come and got me and said, "Dad, my car sounds like a pig." It was squealing, and I ended up spending Saturday with the idler pulley and the tensioner pulley on her Jeep. And I'm going to tell you, that was a nightmare because I normally make her, when she has problems with her vehicle, I'll go out and I'll walk her through the process. There was literally about an inch of space between the front of the motor, which is sideways, and the wheel well of the car. And I could not even get a socket wrench in there. I had to do this entire job with box wrenches, or spanners for our European friends. And it was a nightmare, but I got it fixed, and it sounds good, and it's running great, so thank goodness for that. But like I said, no shop time for shop projects, but plenty of time. And my list keeps growing. Now for some reason, caulk showed up. I guess I'm going to be caulking windows. Yeah, and my wife is hunting for tile for that backsplash finally. So, yeah, springtime. She gets the itch. It's that and that darn HGTV we talked about earlier. She's wearing me out. But that's all I have going on.
I know with the plastic fencing, it used to be more expensive than wood. Is that still the case?
No. It's a way cheaper than wood. I did a railing, and the railing is probably, I'm going to guess, 4.5, 5 feet long. You cut it. You get a 6-foot section and cut it. And it was right at $100, maybe $101, $102 after tax to do a railing. And I'll tell you what's bad is I bought the casing to put over a 4x4. So I had to buy a 4x4 yesterday. 3-foot 4x4 is $28.95. And I only bought it because I told my wife, I think I have one of these at home up in the loft, but I'm going to buy this just in case. So thank goodness I get to return that. And it was like $130-something, before. But yeah, I got by for $100, and man, that thing is sturdy. It looks nice. Wife is super happy, so that's definitely a win. So yeah, I couldn't be happier. But it was a lot cheaper.
Well,
Nice.
I've got a half sheet of 3/4-inch OSB wood that's been sitting out in the weather now for about 8 months. I think I'm going to ask about $60 for it. No low balls.
Get it.
I know what I've got here. It's gold.
It's gold. Yeah, it's like GameStop stock. You know, golly.
You know, I actually
It's
had
just
GameStop.
sickening.
Did
you?
I bought GameStop at their IPO, and it went up. I think I bought it at $16 a share. It went up to $64 a share, and I decided, I'll just hold on to it. And then it started creeping back down. Yeah. I may have sold it for about $20 a share. God, I wish I would have held on to that a little longer.
Yeah.
Could have made a killing.
That was crazy.
Bob, for your caulking, Bob Makowski suggested use ivory dish soap for slicking your caulk.
Oh.
Now, I don't know what that means. It sounds rather dirty, but you probably understand.
Well, yeah. Actually, that's a good idea. I may use a little ivory dish soap. Normally, when I slick the caulk, I just have a little cup of water, and I just dip my finger in it, and then just run. After you put the caulk down, you run your finger along there with water, and it presses the caulk into the crease. Or whatever you're caulking, and makes a nice little finish. And if it's really like if you're doing a bathroom sink or something, I'll put a little blue painter's tape above it and below it, and then I'll just run it down there with a wet finger and then peel the tape off, and you get a real nice fit and finish. Ooh. But the ivory soap may that's interesting. I'll give that a try. Thank you. Appreciate that, Bob.
Yeah.
You know what else works really well is spit.
Yeah, but once your finger gets dirty, you don't want to be, and that you want to know what works. You want to know what works really well is if you hire somebody to do it for you. That is incredible. I save a ton of time. but the problem is, I made the mistake of showing my wife that I can do these things, so I never get to hire anybody. I'm the handyman.
So, Rebecca, what have you been up to?
Well, you know me, not too much.
No, not much at all.
Well, since the last time we recorded, I've done 3 interactive remote demos. 2 of them were walking bowls. The one today, actually only about 3 hours ago now, it ended, was a walking mushroom. And so I've just been doing remote demos like crazy and absolutely loving it. But Henry asked me, he's like, okay, when's your next one? I'm thinking about it. I was like, okay, I don't think I have any next week. And then it's next month already. And next month is May. I don't think I have any demos scheduled for May. Like, at all. And it's because I thought that I was going to be getting married next month.
Oh.
Whoops.
So I didn't schedule anything. So I've got a whole month that what am I supposed to be doing? Just nothing? So I'm going to start putting the word out and maybe getting some...
Bob Makowski recommends you practice your tattooing.
Oh, yes. And you know what? Okay, so I've got this idea in my head that I want to be a tattoo artist, and this has become a small obsession. We've been watching Tattoo Masters, and I think we're on season 5, maybe, and I want to do it so badly. It's just every time we watch the show, I keep thinking to myself, well, I could do that. And I can draw better than that. And what's wrong with that drawing? Like, don't they know how, like, anatomy works? All this very hypercritical attitude that I've got about drawing and professional artists that do this for a living, but then do it permanently on someone's body. And I'm like, you're ruining them. And I just keep thinking to myself that I'd be so good at that. So I actually did reach out to somebody. I got hooked up between myself and the guy who actually owns our wedding venue. And he's got somebody out in their area that owns his own tattoo shop or works at a tattoo shop, but he's also a woodturner. So we've got both of those things in common. So I was like, okay, this is going to be cool. We'll have everything in common then. And now I'll be able to like get my foot in the door and he'll be able to show me. But I keep getting these responses like, well, are you sure you want to deal with these like difficult people that are like really kind of annoying most of the time? And they just complain. And I'm like, I'm a high school art teacher. That's what I deal with all the time. So I think I can handle it. And people have also been like really questioning whether I'm talking about giving a tattoo or receiving a tattoo. And of course, everybody who already has a tattoo, talking to somebody who they don't know already has a tattoo, they're like, oh, you don't want to do that. You know, that really hurts. I was like, yes, I know being stabbed by needles over and over again is going to hurt. I get that. But that's not what I'm actually referring to. I want to give tattoos. But I've been wanting to do it since I was in high school. I'm still obsessed. I want to. And I've got a lot of seniors or like previous students that have already graduated. They are of legal age for me to stab them, that are willing participants. They're like, oh yeah, like come on over, like I'll let you give me a tattoo. I was like, okay. So I've got enough people that are willing to just let me practice on them that I think I'll do fine. I'm excited. And I've been working on a new project. I haven't finished it yet. I just started it between the demo earlier today and opening up the Zoom call. I started this thing and I'm hoping to finish it by later tonight, but I think it's going to be real cute. But it's very spring themed and it's one of my favorite things about spring and summer. So that'll be coming out maybe later tonight, possibly tomorrow if I can remember to finish it.
Does this have anything to do with all the legs that you had in that styrofoam head?
No, that's something totally different. That's actually parts of two projects that I'm working on. One of them is almost done. Another one still needs a lot of work, but they all have a lot of black parts and pieces. One of them has a lot of gold gilding too. I actually ordered some 23 karat gold leaf. I think that's the typical gold leaf that they have. But I ordered that. I ordered better sizing. I think we talked about this last week. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to like gold leaf the parts that need the gold leaf and then move on to starting to assemble after I have that gold leaf done. So I'm excited. I've been doing a lot. And we only have technically 3 more weeks of instruction left until we start exams, and then we're like gone for the summer.
I can't believe the school year's over. It's insane.
Mm.
I'm counting down the days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What have you been doing, Michael?
Have they said that you're going to be full in person next year, or is it still going to be a hybrid?
They haven't told us. They did send an email asking what we want to change about our classes and our course setup, and I'm like, do we have any options when it comes to this? Like, I've never had any type of say before, and now they're asking us opinions. And I'm like, less of everything.
Which is kind of odd because here in Indiana, they've already stated next year will be full in-person teaching. There's no more virtual teaching. And Texas being so open and one of the states leading the charge to get rid of masks and open everything back up. I'm surprised that they haven't made a decision on that yet.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not really giving us anything certain. They haven't given us really any answers all year. Yeah. It's always just been like, well, maybe this, maybe that. We'll find out when you do. Like, okay. So it's been interesting.
Sounds like it.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, so me this week, I was going through still that phase of, I don't want to work on this, I want to work on that, but I don't really want to work on that, I need to work on this, and I finally just said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to go out to the shop and at least clean. I was out there for half an hour cleaning, and next thing you know, I'm working on the space pens. So, just had to make that breakthrough.
Nice.
That's all it takes.
But,
it really is.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I got into one of those logs, and well, not a log, really thick limb, and it is checked.
Oh.
One of them is split all the way down.
Oh, no. Oh, so, that's terrible. You can work around it, though.
Oh, yeah,
right? Yeah.
I've already got half of what I need out of 2 short pieces, so, and I have maybe 12 foot of limbs left, so I'm good.
Nice.
But if I want any more of it, I may have to go ahead and cut it up into blanks and stabilize it.
It's getting that bad, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
What kind? I don't remember now. What kind of wood was it to start with?
Gum tree.
Oh, gum. Okay. Okay, yeah. I wonder why they took a gum tree seed into space.
I don't know. It's.
I mean, there are so many. I mean,
and it was specifically so they could plant it back in Indiana because of it being Gus Grissom's home. But gum trees are not native to Indiana. They're considered
why not
invasive.
a tulip poplar?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not a tulip poplar?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's an invasive species. Huh. That's interesting. Wow. Okay.
So I have a partially clean shop and about 28 sets of blanks cut.
Wow.
At least you got something done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And started
Working
drilling
toward
on
your
them.
goals.
So
Yeah,
go
I
out
got
each
so many
evening,
things I
start
wanna-
working on it, and knock them out.
Yeah. I know that's what I had been doing is just a little bit each night, but we just been too busy lately. The kids now that sports are back and theater season's back and just no time. They keep us busy every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I bet you don't complain too hard when tax season comes around, though.
I don't know.
You still get those child tax credits.
That's the only thing that saves me from paying. I'm not. Of course, I'm going to lose those tax credits before long. Well, I got a few more years, but
Last couple of years I've had to pay, and I'm like, why am I having to pay? I've never had to. My kid isn't here anymore.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to have to adopt just to afford to live.
Well, just you get ID for all of your dogs, man.
Ooh,
Just get illegal IDs for all of your dogs and.
All right. So I think that covers what's been going on.
Do we want to dive into questions?
Yes, that's what I was going to say let's dive into questions. I don't see too many in the chat yet.
We've got a few. Hey, guys, put some questions in the chat so we can keep answering things. So this one actually leads right into what you were just talking about with your stabilizing blanks. Don Peters has a question, at least one for each of us. And Michael, yours is, what is required to start stabilizing blanks or to get started stabilizing blanks?
Oh, wow.
Which is a question that I have too, because I'd like to do that as well.
Well, you need a vacuum, but not just any old vacuum will do. You need one that can pull 2 -30 atmospheres, and you'll get anywhere from 27 to 29 when you actually pull it. There'll be some people that say you have to have a certain CFM removal, and all that means is how quickly you get to that -30. So if you have a higher CFM, you're going to get to that vacuum quicker, but you can save money and go with a smaller pump. Next thing you're going to need is a vacuum chamber, and this is where it can get kind of dicey. There are some people out there, myself included, who have made their own out of cookie jars. Those work for a while, but they do have a tendency of imploding or can shatter if you happen to knock them off of your workbench, which I did. Lost about a gallon of cactus juice that day. That was an expensive day. There's Curtis Seebeck has a company.
Yes.
He's the one that produces cactus juice.
Mm-hmm.
He makes vacuum chambers out of clear PVC piping. These have been tested. They are rated to be down at that kind of atmosphere. There are certain fixtures that he has for the insides of these pipes to help keep the blanks pushed down below the cactus juice. Really, really good setup. You do pay a premium for it. Well, not necessarily premium, but he's probably considered top-notch when it comes to vacuum chambers, and you're going to pay a little extra for them. If you're doing it on a budget, I would recommend going to Best Value Vacs. And they have steel chambers that look like just big cooking pots that have glass lids that go on top of them. They also have acrylic lids, and those are for degassing only. So if you're going to be doing something with silicone and degassing it to make a mold, that's fine. But if you're pulling vacuum on cactus juice and leaving it on there for 2, 3, maybe 4 days, depending on when the bubbles stop coming out, those lids will crack. and if you keep using them after they crack, they will shatter and implode. Same with glass. They have 1/2 inch thick, sometimes even 3/4 inch thick, that they've drilled a hole through and put your valve on, or not the valve, but the indicator that shows what you're pulling vacuum wise. That's a weak point in the glass that some people have reported will eventually fail. There are other people that have been doing it for years and have had no issues. I have one of those, and I'm kind of iffy about it, but if I do see any cracks coming out of it, I'm going to change to the different setup where they've drilled the hole through the side of the steel tank instead of through the glass, and then just have a solid piece of glass on top. So in all, to get started, you're probably looking at between $200 to $400, depending on which setup that you go for. Or you could find somebody already doing it and have them stabilize for you.
Like you.
I really don't do it that much. I don't have any colored cactus juice. To do it properly, you have to have like a gallon of each color that you're going to do. And you're going to be doing it all the time. Or the juice will go bad. It does last a while, last 18 months. But after that, it can get a little iffy.
See, I really want to get into stabilizing. But then I also want to get into tattooing. And everything else. And welding. Everything.
You need a different job than teaching if you want to get into all that.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Well, I just keep imagining I could just bring some of this stuff to the school and during the day. It'd be great. That's all I need to do.
What you need to do is develop a class for that and then teach it at the school. That way they buy all the equipment and you can go in and use it while you're doing your demos. Teaching the kids. See?
Yes.
Okay, we're having a test today, kids, and anybody who finishes early has to come up to my desk. I'm going to stab you in the arm here a few thousand times.
No, I have to wait till after they graduate to do that.
Not if you get a waiver from the parent. Because my daughter had a tattoo when she was 16.
Yeah, I had one when I was 17, and I had somebody else's parent sign for me.
No, not a good idea.
Yeah, no, probably not.
So, Don, I hope I answered your question well. You said he had one for each of us, so what's next?
All right, let's go to Bob. Bob, square or oval skew?
Oval. I like oval better. Okay. And the only reason I like it better, I have both, is, when I want to turn the skew up, with the square, it feels like it kind of lifts it a little bit. The oval just tends to roll over. So I like the feel of it better. And it's just a personal preference. I've had people tell me square's better, but I like oval.
And Tim Wadley actually had a response to that. He said, square or round, ... hate the ovals, personally.
A lot of people do. I get a lot of people saying they hate the oval skew, but I don't know, just like I said, when you turn it up and you got that 90 degree on the bottom of that skew, it just feels like it doesn't roll over nice. But that's just me.
Nice.
Ooh, I see someone said, Curtis, have you rolled over the corners of the square skew? No, I haven't. I've never tried that. I got to be honest and say that I don't know that I ever will because I have multiple of each, both square and oval, so I don't really have a reason to. And once you've rounded it over, it just kind of becomes an oval skew, so I don't really gain anything. You know what I mean?
I'd just like to point out that Holly Fry had a comment about you hiring out jobs.
Yeah, I saw that. I've got counsel that you made that already drawing up the defamation of character paperwork for that.
Because
she called me cheap.
Bob, you're too cheap to hire anyone.
I'm not cheap. I have 7 children. I'm thrifty. It's not about being cheap. It's about being broke.
So thanks, Holly. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Gosh, Holly. Okay, where's his question for me? Okay, and the last question from Don Peters, I think. is for me. He asked, do you teach wood turning at your school or is it taught in the wood shop? Neither, but it should be. But the people that actually have the lathes in the school don't know how to use them, and I am not officially certified to teach the turning classes. So as an art teacher certified in K through 12 art, I don't have the CTE training and I don't have the CTE certification. And in order to get it in Texas, you have to actually work in a trade related to construction for at least 3 years to be certified in CTE in order to teach those classes. I have a type of quote unquote income from the trade, kind of, from my demonstrations and doing stuff that I do on the side, but I don't have a regular income, which is what they want, which is ridiculous because I could pass just about any test that they give me over any of the tools and equipment and use, any of it. So I will openly tell everybody I am overqualified to teach the classes that are offered in the school for those kind of things, but because I don't have that little check mark, I can't do it. I tried bringing a lathe into my classroom a couple years ago, and I asked the internet for some advice on waivers and different things, a lot of different hoops that I had to jump through, and it got nowhere because I just couldn't get approved. So I brought one in and I showed the students what it is and how I can use it, but I couldn't let anybody touch it. So unfortunately, there are still 3 lathes in the school as far as I know. They're just in the other classes, and I can't touch them.
I want you to know that Alan is behind you 100%. He said that Rebecca is clearly certifiable, and then Joel agreed with Alan. So we just wanted to throw that out. You know, it's funny because I'm a show choir dad, right? And part of my job is we build and then we set up and tear down the sets before and after the shows when the show choir performs. And we get to use the shop a lot of times, you know, we have to cut boards or whatever. And we have at our school, a wonderful room with both metal lathes and regular lathes. And I'll bet there's a half a dozen of them. There's about 3 of each. No one teaches them. No one knows how to use them. They're absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, tools, chucks, all kinds of stuff. And they just sit there collecting dust. It is really sad. Yeah. And I don't know what it would take to teach that. I mean, I'm not saying I could do it, but it would just be nice if the kids would, you know, have the opportunity. Mm-hmm. Now, they did in junior high. In junior high, they take something called industrial arts, and they had a couple of small lathes. I don't remember. They were red. I don't remember what brand they were. They had 2 or 3 of them. And when we went to tour the junior high school, they actually had them set up with pin mandrels, you know, on the lathes. There were no blanks on them, but they were set up. And, you know, my daughter had turned pins before and was talking to the shop teacher about that. And he was surprised that she knew what this tool was and how it was to be used, but they never got to turn on them.
So it sounds like, Rebecca, all they're expecting you is to have a steady paycheck in that trade?
That's what it seems like, for at least 3 years, though. So I have to have experience in sort of that area of trade that I plan on getting the certification in.
I'll pay you $1 a week for 3 years.
Hey, that'd work.
Yeah. If they don't have a pay requirement, I think that should work.
Why not?
That should. Okay, let's get started.
Okay.
Sign that contract.
Money, please.
I will even prepay you for 3 years.
Oh, well, I don't know if that works. I need like a steady paycheck.
Yeah, you have to have a 1099 each year, Michael. So you'll have to pay taxes. Yeah, I mean it's a whole thing.
Nice.
All right, what's next?
Okay, Bob. This one's from Tony.
Oh,
what are you demoing at SWAT?
Tony, thank you for the question. I genuinely appreciate it. There's only one person on this call that might sort of know what that is, but I'm keeping that a secret until I demo it. And the main reason why is I've developed what I want to turn. I'm working on the documentation for that. And if I put it out there, then I start getting a lot of people that say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then I start doubting myself. So I don't want to doubt. I want to build my presentation. I want to have it ready to go, and I want to demo it. Now, I have been sharing with a few people over on Patreon because I do need a little bit of feedback on things, but I'm kind of keeping that under wraps. I'm sorry that I can't answer that today, but I'm going to hold that close to the heart.
So no.
Well, in a politically correct way to say no, a very nice way. But I just, like I said, I don't want too much outside input. I've got to focus, and I'm building it, and I know what I want to do.
That's Bob's polite impersonation of Rebecca saying, "Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Figure it out." Well, it's a great question, and I've been asked that question many times. Many times.
I keep asking him. He won't tell me.
Yeah. Alan said he didn't know what SWAT is. Yeah, a lot of people, everybody, I think on this probably knows what SWAT is. What I meant is I was referring more to the demonstration.
But for those of you who don't know what SWAT is, it's the Southwest Association of Turners. That happens in Waco, Texas every year, usually at the end of August. Is it still at the end of August?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I should know. I'm demoing.
No, it's September.
Well, there were rumors they were going to push it back to October, and I'm like, okay, are they still going to push it back to October?
Rebecca, we did that show last week. We did that show last week. Wait, what? I have to demo?
So it's actually, I like being asked to do these demonstrations at the big events because they ask for a handout. And it gives me extra motivation to actually finalize a very detailed handout for the topic that I'm teaching. So a couple years ago or last year, I was asked to do the walking bowls at SWAT. And so I had this ridiculously in-depth handout for my walking bowls. And now I'm doing my walking mushrooms. And I'm working on another very detailed handout. And now I'm actually saving the images that I'm drawing. Like if I have a chuck that is represented of having like the like a 2-inch set of jaws, 2.5, whatever the general size is for chuck jaws. I would normally just draw the picture and then merge it with the thing that is in it. And then I'd have these chucks all drawn, ready to go. And then I can't use them for anything else without editing that photo. Now I'm actually being smart about it and saving that picture as its own little layer. And now I've got a set of jaws for the regular size, some pin jaws, some extended pin jaws. I've got all the chucks now. I have almost as many digital chucks as Chuck Wadley has real chucks.
As you were going through this saying chuck, made me think, I'd like to make a formal proposition that for this show, from this point forward, we refer to Chucks as Tims.
Oh, okay. Tim's giving us a thumbs up. Okay, I'm looking for some more questions, so everybody is going to need to ask more questions. Okay, I have one from Joel. And he says that this one's for Rebecca specifically, that's me, and anyone else that demos at turning symposiums. Do you think symposiums will die off now that Zoom demos have become so common and the technologies continue to improve? I don't think they're going to die off. I don't think so at all, because I have been to symposiums before where I don't even go to the demos. I just go for the interaction with the people that are there. And I think that's what everybody needs, and I think that's what most people are going for, is that community that we get to engage with and talk to and go out to eat with and just be around people with like-minded ideas and the thought process and that drive to make things. I don't think that's going to die. I think we need it, and I think many people are getting so sick of only having the Zoom demos that they just need to get themselves out of the house, even if we do have to stand away from everybody with masks on and just yell because we're at a distance.
Have you seen the Snickers commercial where the guy comes out, his wife is entertaining two people out on the deck, and they've got a little drink in their hand, and the guy comes out in his underwear, and he's picking up some stuff, and he turns around and he goes, I thought we were doing Zoom. It's like a Snickers commercial. It's really cute. Really cute.
Oh, that's
Now,
funny. What do you guys think?
It wouldn't surprise me if Zoom stays beyond and becomes more prevalent, but I don't see attendance at these venues dropping.
Yeah.
I think Zoom is just a nice. It's in addition to it's a nice enhancement, a nice option, but it's the camaraderie. I mean that's we go to a show every year, Mike, and the reason why I go is just to hang out with all of the people that are there and talk shop with people who are as passionate about the same thing that you are, because there is nobody locally where I'm at. So we have turners, but we don't have pin turners here.
And I haven't announced this yet, but at the Mid-Ohio Valley, I'm not going to be a vendor this year. And part of the reason is because I spent the whole weekend behind a table. I didn't get to interact with anybody because I was having to deal with customers as they came up. And, I get a short 2 or 3 minute interaction with that person, and then I have to move on to the next one. And I missed being able to just be in a group talking, and I could stand around for half an hour listening if I want, or join in on the conversation. So that's probably 75% of why I'm not doing it this year, as far as being a vendor.
Nice. Okay. Do we have more questions? I know we do. I just need to find them now. Maybe I'm not the best to moderate the chat.
looks like people are kind of agreeing with your comment. People are saying Zoom is better than nothing, but they think the in-person symposiums will continue to be strong. That was from Tony. Joel said they're having this exact debate at their club about trying to put on a symposium that got canceled last year, and he agrees with you. But he thinks he's in the minority, evidently, at his club, because I think what he's saying is his club wants to stick with the online stuff. So, and I hope you're right. I love the camaraderie. I love hanging out with people.
Yeah, I hope so too. And there's another thing about the Zoom calls is I'm now members of at least one club that's not in my state. So Bob Mikowski's club, the Detroit area Woodturners, I joined theirs as an out-of-state member, and I really enjoy being part of that because now I don't have to wait until there's a cool demonstrator that comes into my own group. I can go to one of theirs because I'm already a member of an out-of-state club, because they have the capability to do the Zoom calls. So if they get rid of that, then I would be missing out on being able to be part of more clubs and more people. So it's nice. And it's on a Sunday, and none of my other clubs are on Sundays, so it's perfect. They're not going to overlap.
So what do we got next?
We've got, let's see, Cindy Drozda says, in-person symposiums don't serve all the turning community. I think we will see the wood turning community grow because of Zoom, and symposiums stay for those who want to travel.
That's a really good point.
I completely agree. And thank you, Cindy, for joining. Hi. Why should you go to the symposium and see them again? Because you can talk with the demonstrator and socialize with them. Yes.
Okay, wait a minute. Reread. Why should you go to the symposium and see them again? ? And then the answer is because you can talk with the demonstrator and socialize with them, and that's exactly right. It's one thing to watch Rebecca do a demo on legged bowls, but if I go to a symposium and watch Rebecca do it, and then afterwards Rebecca's in the turning room or the group goes out to dinner, I get a chance to talk to Rebecca more on a one-on-one level, and I get a chance to, that interaction is worth gold, because I did see her demo, but now I'm going to get all this other insight and information, right? So that is exactly, that's a wonderful point. Thank you. I don't know Cindy, but I really like her. That was a great comment.
Yeah,
That's
Cindy's
perfect.
awesome.
Dead on.
Cindy's great, and she usually has purple hair, which I am a fan of.
All right.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going anywhere, but I also think Zoom is probably going to stick around too, especially for the demonstrators as well. This is huge for us who actually have gotten into the IRDs, or the interactive remote demos. I cannot travel during the school year typically unless it's a school break, but having the interactive remote demonstrations allows me to demo 2 nights on a school week. And then again on a Sunday, mid-afternoon, I can demo again, and I don't have to worry about it because I'm in my own shop, and I don't have to worry about it being a school night, except for that club that I had to demo in where was it? It's by Washington area. So I was 2 hours away from where I normally am. So I went back in town in time 2 hours for one of my meetings, and it didn't start until 8:30, and then it didn't end until 11, and then it was about midnight before I got to go to bed. So it was like, that one was challenging, but the rest of them are great, and it works really well, and it gets me out into the world, into other clubs that I would never be able to see otherwise. But yeah, I met Curtis, in a kitless turning class a couple of years ago that wouldn't have been possible without in person.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize to Lowry publicly. I'm very sorry, Lowry.
You actually got to take that class before I did.
I know, it was a wonderful class.
You rat bastard.
It was a wonderful class. I'd take it again. Actually, I've considered taking it again.
Yeah, again, guys, if you have questions, please put them into the chat so that we can voice them. And for those of us that are coming in late, just a reminder, we are only recording the three of us. So any talking outside of the three hosts, myself, Curtis Lowe, and Michael DeLauder, we won't be able to hear you in the recording. So if you do have questions, just post them in the chat and we will get to them. So ask your questions, because it looks like we're out again. You guys, come on. Oh, wait, there's a question that's just for me. Have you ever worked with recycling HDPE plastic to use in your artwork? I'm looking to try it to use with my kitless pens. So the only thing, it was a private message. It was just for me.
I was going to say, I'm looking. Did I miss something?
Yeah. No, that one was just mine. So the only thing I use the HDPE for is for making my molds for my casting. I've never actually recycled it in any way other than just cutting it up and making molds out of it, because it releases from the resin really easily. Do you guys have any experience with the HDPE?
I would think that HDPE would not work very well for a pen.
It does not.
It's a lot more pliable than your other plastics, which are... you really need something that's going to be a little more rigid. And I would think there would just be too much flex in it when you go to drill. Probably would not take threads very well. So it would be interesting to try, but I don't think it would work very well.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to polish, but let's look back at that example of the kid who walked into class and the class was gone and there were 2 math problems on the board and he thought that was their homework and he took them home and solved them. Remember that story? Let's not talk negative. I like it when people try new things, because guess what? I get to learn from them. So I want to see you try to melt this into blocks, and I want to see you turn it, because by golly, if you figure it out, I'd love to know about it.
Yeah, I think
when you figure it out, let's say that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Ben Ueda, I think he did something with the recycled detergent containers or something, cutting it up into little pieces, melting it down, compressing it into kind of a solid blank, and then he made something out of it, and I'm not entirely sure what it was. It might have
Brown
been
did that.
A guitar or something. Who?
Peter Brown.
Okay, somebody
Brown,
somebody did it. Maybe there's a couple people that have done it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, there is. But look up Peter Brown on YouTube, and he took a bunch of detergent bottles, things like that, and he literally melted them in their oven into a nice big block in a baking dish, like a metal bread dish, and then he turned it, and it was a really good video, really well done. It's an older video, probably 4 or 5 years ago, but just look up Peter Brown. Peter Brown.
Okay. Hopefully that helps, Darren. And then Tony says that HDPE turns really well. I think that's what he said.
Oh, I'm sure it would. It probably turns like a dream.
Yeah, and it's actually really nice if you've got a point center on your tailstock and you want to support something that maybe doesn't want a point stabbed into it, you can just make a little block of the HDPE from a cutting board and turn it down into more of a cylindrical shape that'll hold something, just kind of like a little buffer between the 2 spots. Like if you're doing pendants or something and you want to hold it on, but you don't have anything that's not going to mar your material, just put that in there and then turn it down to the size that you need it, and it'll support it really well without messing it up.
I did get some different resin rods this week to try turning. They're Delrin rods.
Delrin. What is that? I know the name of that.
It's
What
a
is that?
brand of plastic. I can't remember the type, but it's a highly machinable plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I got it is so that I can make some custom mandrels.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some brass mandrels for making kitless pens, but I have a problem with the one for the cap. The depth of it is too long, so I can't actually screw it into place and get it to hold right, unless I make it deeper than what I actually want to.
Yeah, it works nice too when you're doing kitless and you want to make custom mandrels, because you're changing up. Like with your brass mandrel, you don't want to cut your mandrel off if you're making a shorter pin, right? Or you change the diameter, and that's where also UHMW does a nice job of that as well. It machines fairly nicely.
What I'm thinking of doing is just making a single mandrel at the 13 millimeter size for the outside, for the threads for the cap, and then making a replaceable center post that's tapped with the M10 threads, so I can have it at whatever length I want, depending on the style of pen that I'm going to make.
Here's one I haven't heard of: acrylic acetate for mandrels. That's from Darren MacArthur. I had not heard of acrylic acetate, but I'm going to write that down. I'm always looking for something that's a bit more cost-effective than brass.
Ooh, vapor methyl chloride will polish HDPE. I don't think I'd want to be around vapor methyl chloride.
No.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know when you say vapor methyl chloride. I used to work at a plant.
Methylene chloride.
Methylene chloride. We used to work at a plant where we used methylene chloride. We actually made resin, Lexan resin, and we would use the methylene chloride to dissolve the resin so that we could move it through the pipes from point A to point B, and then we would flash off the methylene chloride and recover it. And it's some pretty nasty stuff.
Okay, we've got another question from Joel. Are we ready to move on? This goes into another topic.
Yeah.
Okay, what does a video/audio setup for IRDs cost? Obviously, there would be a range. What would be the minimum, and then what is a dream setup cost? Okay, so the dream setup that I do not have would be something to talk to Alan, who was on previously, because he has everything. I don't even know how many cameras he's got pointed at his thing, but he's probably got close to 9 cameras, like just in one area, and that's just me guessing and seeing based on how many he has and how many he's showing off. But when Alan Zenrich, I can never remember how to pronounce his name. When Alan Z does his demo, you're actually getting a 2-for-1, because he and his wife Lauren do the demo simultaneously. So while he's turning, you can see Lauren in the other room with her own camera setups, doing like the fine detail work. Like she does her Zentangle painting and drawing all over the pendants that he's currently turning, and they can switch back and forth different complete areas of the house and see both of them working simultaneously. They might do a split screen, they might do him in the full screen and her in the corner screen, and then switch and make it so that she's in the full screen, he's in the corner screen. They've got the dream setup, and you could hear from their audio when we were on earlier, Alan's sound was coming through really clearly, and that's how it is with his whole setup. Everything is very crystal clear, HD, fine detail, the zoom capabilities are amazing. He is the person to talk to about the dream setup. So I don't know the money that goes into that. Now, on the low end, you can do an IRD with an iPhone. Like, you can do it. Or really a smartphone that you can sign into Zoom. As long as you have the ability to have your camera running consistently and you have a good internet connection, you can do it with one phone. Preferably, I know a lot of demonstrators like to have 2 at least, but 3 at least is preferable, so that you can have kind of one face shot, another overhead shot, and you can see my camera set, or my tripod right here is attached to the ceiling and it hangs down. But it's not for my phone. I've got the Logitech something 1080p. And those cameras originally I think they were running like $80, and then once the pandemic hit, they went up to about $250, and it looks like they're starting to drop down again. But those are really high quality cameras, and they were an upgrade from the Wyze cameras that I had before. And you can get a Wyze camera for like $20, a little baby one. And what it is, it's a security camera that you convert into a webcam, and you can get the whole setup for a reasonable amount. Now, if you're going to be switching back and forth between cameras, you're going to want some sort of video mixing software. I have vMix, and I have the basic version, which costs $60, and that's all you ever pay for it. And it gives you the ability to switch back and forth with your cameras, have the split screen or the picture-in-picture like I have. And it gives you the ability to do 4 inputs. So I can have my front-facing camera on the computer that I'm using. I can have my overhead camera, my tailstock camera, and I can also have a banner that I have scrolling across my screen whenever I want it on there. But then I can hook up my audio as a secondary input and connect it to one of my cameras that I have in place. So with all that, it's $60 for the vMix. It was about $40 for the 2 Wyze cameras when I was first starting out. It was maybe like $20, $30 for the USB cords to plug into the computer that would actually reach properly. And I can't think of anything. Oh, I needed a mic. And I got a mic, but I borrowed one for a little while, and then ended up getting one. The Samson. I borrowed. I gave it back.
Borrowed.
It was a $600 microphone. I gave it back. I would have been hunted down. But I ended up replacing that with a Samson microphone. It's like an over-the-ear headset. And that one ended up costing, I want to say it was somewhere between $100 and $200. So that was the most expensive thing that I had at the time.
Now the vMix, is that, did you say that's software, or is that an appliance?
It's software. You just install it on your computer, and you can get a trial period for 60 days that'll give you the full unlimited version of vMix, but then you get hooked on it if you end up going and using all of its capabilities. But then you have to pay a lot more to get the full version. But the $60 will give you the basic, and that'll give you up to 4 inputs, which is really all you need if you're just doing a simple IRD and you don't need all the bells and whistles. So it's nice. It's nice. So it doesn't have to be extremely cost prohibitive. My goodness. It doesn't have to be too expensive. There we go. But if you want to go with all the bells and whistles, you can, and you can upgrade your demoing. And I know Cindy Drozda's on and listening right now, and her demos are absolutely top notch. The amount of cameras and views and green screen setup and everything, and all of the practice that she has into it as well, it's incredible. And watching demos and learning from her demonstration style is amazing. And that's another reason that leads back into the Zoom demos and the IRD, is just watching everybody else's demos has helped me learn so much about how I can make my demos better. So I really hope they don't go away. Okay, sorry, I went on and on about that. Do you two have anything to share about that?
No. You said it all.
Okay.
No, that was a great response, though. There really was.
Okay.
So we had a question from Jim Rumsey.
Okay.
Who apparently recently had a shop fire. So first off, sorry to hear about that. He needs to replace his lathe. He had a Nova Comet 2. What would you recommend for a bigger lathe so that he can get into turning bowls?
What do you guys recommend?
Well, it's going to depend on budget, really.
That's a lot of it, yeah.
You can get up, what's that behind you, a Harvey?
Yeah, I've got my Harvey.
What's a Harvey run these days?
Or the one that I have right now, it's around 3,000. Mm-hmm. And this is a borrowed lathe as well. So
borrowed.
But I am a distributor, so you can let me know if you're shopping around. But it is a really nice lathe, and it's a mid-size, so you can get, I don't know what you're considering big bowls. You can get 14 inches, a 14-inch swing and 24 inches between centers, I think. So, and the headstock swivels, so you can bring it out. And
so you can do outboard turning on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want.
And I know there's larger lathes from Jet. Record Power makes them. As a matter of fact, I think Turner's Warehouse, I think, is a distributor for Record Power now.
He says he'd like to stay under 1,000.
Under 1,000.
Okay, so you're not going to do that with One Way.
No.
You're not going to do that with Harvey. You're probably not going to do that with a Laguna either.
For a larger lathe under $1,000.
He said
Freight.
Used. He added.
Oh,
he added.
used.
No, he added used to the mix there.
Jason added used.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. You know what?
The chat was flying by.
Every single one of the lathes that I have in my house, all 8 of them, are used lathes. So I see absolutely nothing wrong with buying used. Like, find your local wood turning club or not necessarily local wood turning club. Ask around in the other states, the ones that you're willing to drive to, and see who's upgrading their lathe from one to a bigger one. And I've known some people who actually upgrade or downgrade, sort of, from a larger, lower quality lathe to a smaller, higher quality lathe, just because they don't have the space anymore, or because they found that they don't need a larger lathe. So you might be able to find a nice big lathe that somebody's trying to get rid of because they're downsizing for space.
2 other good places to check are Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. You can always find good deals on lathes there, both places.
That's good to know. I don't trust going out and meeting random people, though.
I got
Even though that's all I do with the symposiums.
I got my South Bend metal lathe for $900 through Facebook Marketplace. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a steal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, Tony just said a guy in our club just sold a one-way 1224 for $1,300. That's ridiculous.
Ooh. Now, if you catch a guy who's in the midst of getting a divorce, his wife a lot of times will let those things go really cheap.
For as much as she thinks you paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She may be spiteful and not even care about that.
Just get it out of the house. Oh my God. See, all these people talking about how they got their one-ways for like $1,000 and $1,300. I was like, why am I not seeing these?
I'm green with envy. You know, in the Midwest, you know, you talk about Craigslist, you talk about Facebook Marketplace, and you see lathes on there all the time, but they're like the Craftsman tube lathes.
Yes.
Which, you know, I guess if you're just starting out, and that's how I started out years ago, but you just don't see the nice quality lathes on there. Just don't see them.
Mm-mm.
So, and I'm hoping.
Just not there.
Well, what I may have to do is I may have to watch Texas and see if I can have Rebecca pick one up and bring it when she comes to get her bandsaw. You know, if she's going to have no sense deadheading that trailer. You could just bring a nice big lathe to me and then take your bandsaw back.
That's right. That's what's definitely going to happen.
Well, I think, we are at the hour mark for recording, so we should probably wrap up the audio portion of the podcast. We can stay on with our cast of characters here and take some questions.
Mm-hmm.
But
we still have dad jokes, and we still have our sponsor to talk about too.
Let's plow through all that.
Let's talk about some stuff that you guys,
All right.
I'm sure you want to hear about, because who doesn't want to hear about a great opportunity to save some money? If you I just remembered Bob's on here, so you get to see my amazing Sabretooth ad. You ready for it, Bob Mikowski? I hope so. So if you want to save 10% off on superior carving burrs from a 1 in a million company, Sabretooth, go to sabretooth.com, type YMT into the coupon code area in checkout, and save 10% off your entire order. Because I just did my demo today on walking mushrooms, and I I'm not going to say I couldn't have done it without the saber-tooth burrs, but it sure makes my life a whole lot easier when I'm carving and making a giant mess. Because, you know, when I did my carving before, I would do it with a dowel and some 80 grit sandpaper. Now, I actually have the right tools for the job, and you could too. How's that for a
very nice,
spot-on ad?
Smooth,
right? Almost seamless.
Not enough O's in smooth to describe that.
And Bob Mikowski says, "What the heck are saber-tooth?" Whatever.
And the comments are flying by.
I know. Oh, if anybody has any dad jokes you want to throw them in now, we can mention you on here too. While we prepare for our own, because I need to pull mine up.
All right, so we'll start with Michael then. Michael, you want to start with your dad joke?
Sure. There was a conductor who had triplet daughters, and he named them Anna 1, Anna 2, Anna 1, 2, 3. Oh, come on, that's funny.
I don't know. I've got one.
My favorite.
I've got one for 10 tickles. Yeah, I've got one here for Rebecca. This one is specifically for Rebecca because she loves dinosaurs. Rebecca, why shouldn't you make fun of a paleontologist?
Why?
Because you'll get Jurassic kicked. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
It's awful.
I know, it's a dad joke. It's supposed to be.
Oh, I love it. Hold on.
You
I'm
still haven't got one? Come on, Rebecca.
I sent so many messages today that I lost the ones that came in from my people who sent them in.
What do you call a cow with a twitch? Beef jerky.
Beef jerky. Ooh. Oh, here's one here from Arthur Barber. I spend a lot of time and money and effort child-proofing my house, but the kids still get in.
Oh, I got one. I was walking past a farm and a sign said, "Duck, eggs." I thought, that's an unnecessary comma. Then it hit me. There's another one, and I think I got this one from Tim Wadley earlier today too. My doctor told me I'm going deaf. The news was hard for me to hear. What do you call an ugly dinosaur?
What?
An eyesore.
An eyesore. Arthur Barber has sent another joke. This is a good one, Rebecca. I'm going to let you stop laughing. Why can't I take my dog to the pond anymore? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't take my dog to the pond anymore because the ducks keep attacking him. That's what I get for buying a purebred dog. I love dad jokes. See, the benefit of this is I get to go tell my kids all these jokes afterwards, and I get double groans tonight. They'll be like, "Oh God, no, not podcast night."
Okay, because we've got people listening and you maybe didn't hear our earlier episodes, I'm going to tell a few of my favorites real quick. Are you ready? You're not ready. Nobody's ready for this. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? 10 tickles. If you're feeling a little chilly, what part of the room do you go to? The corner. It's usually about 90 degrees.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Hey, Rebecca.
This is
Yes.
Lactose intolerant.
This is what you guys don't get to see on a regular basis. Is Rebecca say something so I can see how red she gets when she gets dying laughing.
And then I can't breathe. How many apples grow on a tree? All of them.
All of them.
What's the difference between a poorly dressed man on a tricycle and a well-dressed man on a bicycle? A tire. those came in from Arthur Barber as well. Oh my god.
Honestly, this is the only reason Bob and I do this show, is to get her going like this.
It doesn't take much, but it's funnier than heck.
Why couldn't the bicycle stand up by itself? It was too tired.
This, poor Rebecca. Breathe, Rebecca.
Oh, Tim, he's got another one. I can't do it. Somebody else is going to read. I'm crying now.
I caught my son chewing on electrical cords, so I had to ground him. He's doing better currently and conducting himself properly now.
Don't you love dad jokes? I just love them.
Why do scuba divers fall backwards out of the boat? Because if they fell forward, they'd still be in the boat.
Did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers? They say he made a mint.
You okay, Rebecca?
I'm good.
Oh, we have to stop before we kill her.
I shouldn't drink any water right now, that's for sure.
No.
Well, while Rebecca gets her breath back, Bob, why don't you share your social media information?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at RJBWoodturner, and I have a shop vlog channel called WhatchaDoinBob over on YouTube.
Are you ready yet, Rebecca?
I am.
I am. Okay.
Arthur just keeps sending jokes.
A cheese factory exploded in France. Debris is everywhere. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook and YouTube as RebeccaDeGroot. Instagram, Rebecca_DeGroot. Redbubble, if you want to buy some weird products that have my drawings all over them. You can find me at RebeccaDeGrootStudio with spaces, and Etsy if you want to find my artsy things, my three-dimensional products that I actually make by hand. It's RebeccaDeGrootStudio without spaces on Etsy.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
And I am at Lost River Pens on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LostRiverPens.com.
You know, one of these days, we always struggle for titles for our topics for our show. One of these days, we need to do a show and explain all of the inside jokes. We got enough to do a full show, I think. There's so many inside jokes.
No. We make everybody listen to every podcast.
Yeah, that's right. You start at the first one when we were terrible.
But nothing's changed, Rebecca.
And then you keep going
changed.
and see us get worse.
See us get worse. Exactly. It's like, what do they call that? The 7 levels of hell, Dante's Inferno. That kind of describes our podcast,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we're on the 11th level of hell now.
11th. We're not. The listeners are.
Oh, before we get off into any more tangents, I'm turning off this show. So don't make me turn the show around. I will. I'll do it. So everybody, thank you for listening this week. We do appreciate it. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your friends, family, enemies. We don't care. We're equal opportunity offenders.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for listening again, and we hope you all have a great week in your shop. Until next week, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
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 Adios.